All right. So we are fortunate enough to have the presence of Mr. Jack Ma with us today. So a special Tuesday mastermind with our very own. Jack, I think you're really better and more luxurious than the Jack Ma of Alibaba. That's just my opinion. I would take you over him any day of the week, buddy. No doubt about it.
Thank you.
I
I get
mean, I
that.
mean, this guy couldn't even get a job at McDonald's when he first started, Jack. I mean, here you are just crushing real estate. So you're the man, buddy. You're the man.
I get that comment. Are you the Jack Ma from Alibaba? On prospecting calls, and I have a script.
Yeah, which is.
He's the one that with more money now, but I'm the better looking one.
I like it.
I do have a
I
script.
I like it. There you go. There you go. There's a script for everything. I was more thinking like, if I was, would you sign the contract now?
Well, actually, I
What's
have
gonna.
another one. If it was, I was the, if I were the Jack Ma of Alibaba, I would have purchased the whole tract instead of making calls.
Yeah, yeah. I would not be calling you. Not at all. I would be selling you the house. There you go. Fantastic. Well, good, 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 good. Well, look, Jack, I really appreciate you being here. I asked you last week if you would mind doing this, coming in on a Tuesday and talking a little bit about your successes and some of the things. Now, just so everyone knows, Jack and I agreed to have a little bit of fun with this. And what I mean is that we didn't do any pre-qualifying prior to this. So Jack doesn't know the questions I'm going to ask. Not that I'm going to ask him crazy things. I have no idea what Jack's going to say. Now, I know a little bit because I talk to Jack every week. So I know a little bit of what he's going to say. The only question I asked Jack when he agreed to do this was, what's off limits? What is there anything I can't ask? And he, gave me something not to ask about. But other than that, this is just completely, we're going with the flow. We're going to see how this goes. So I'm sure it's going to go really well. So Jack, I know everybody knows you for the most part here, but they might not know kind of the story. So, give a quick little Reader's Digest version of, the markets you work, what you're doing, things along those lines, and we'll kind of go from there.
So, background or
Oh yeah, like what markets you're working, how long you've been in real estate, all that good stuff.
so I've been in the business since 2009, so a while,
Okay.
and met Mike, or started with coaching with Mike 2015, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I work the Tri-County area, so the border of the three counties: San Bernardino, Orange County, and LA County. Yeah,
All right.
and
Got
I
it.
see,
Got it. Got it.
before Mike, I was one of those agent that I was actually everything Mike was talking about. No goal, no schedule, never prospected, waiting for my business, buying leads, and the whole nine yard. Everything Mike was talking about.
Yeah. So you go to a Mike Ferry event and you're just thinking that he's talking directly to you.
Actually, I signed up for coaching without going to an event.
That is what we call blind faith, Jack.
Someone gave me another agent said she's approaching retirement. She said that, oh, I have these Mike Ferry tape. Do you want them? I'm like, hey, it's free. Why not? I mean, I heard of Mike, and I never even knew what the contents would be. What he would talk about. I have no idea.
Yeah.
And so I just took the tape, listened to it, and then I made a lot of sense. And then I called in, and then signed up for coaching.
There you go. There you go. And here we are 6 years later.
Yeah,
Good
that's
job.
one of the best decisions. The other one is, onboarding with masters. I think. I'm not just saying this. I really do feel that way.
Well, you're not just saying it, but feel free to say it as much as you want, Jack. Okay, so go over that real quick before we kind of jump into everything else. You had your own brokerage, right? You were your own. You didn't have like a big company, but you were the broker owner of your own little shop, right?
Yeah, it was a joke.
Okay. Okay. So what made the decision to go from having, I'm independent, I'm my own little boss, to joining Masters?
couple reasons I think. Uh, One of that is, the couple partner, we're, different stage in life. So,
Okay.
I want to be a little bit more aggressive. They are not. That's one of that. And I don't see staying, doing what I did at that time, continuing to do that. I didn't see my business go anywhere. Uh, and I started being coached by, Mike, and then so they're the one, the doubters Mike's talk about. Does it work?
Yeah.
Who would answer cold calls? Who would sell houseware? So I'm getting a lot of negative, you know, chatters, and so I've decided, hey, if I if I'm gonna follow the Mike Ferry system, which broker would be better than Masters? So that's another reason.
Okay. Perfect. 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 Cool. Well, very good. So let's go back to last year, 2020. So start of 2020, you're coming off 2019, good year, not great under your normal circumstances. So you have 2020 goals, and then COVID happens. How did you adjust your business when COVID started?
It was pretty tough when COVID started because I have a right now she's 2.5. So at that time she was only a year old, and my wife works for full time too. So instead of both of us normally would average about 10 hours a day before COVID working, and now that COVID hit, nannies is not taking they're not accepting kids. So now we had to take care of the Amelia, and now we had to split the 10 hours among the the two of us.
Right.
So it was pretty tough in the beginning, and there was a lot of fear and uncertainty. And I think I remember this so clearly. It was somewhere around April 15th or so. One day I actually just got sick and tired of it. I was like, why should I let this COVID dictate the outcome of my day or the outcome of my business? And then actually just that one mindset shift, and then everything started it's crazy. Everything just started turning around.
Okay. So talk about that a little bit more. I mean, what was the shift in mindset? I mean, what were you doing? What changed?
So when COVID started, there were a lot of fear, right? What's gonna happen? I was worried about this. I was worried about the family, and then getting business was probably not. And then of course there's chatter who would buy, what's gonna have to happen to the market, and then it was just like, what, screw that. I'm just gonna do what I need to do, and just don't let I'm gonna basically it's like I'm not gonna let that affect me. I'm just gonna create my destiny kind of things, and it really it's just a shift in. And then as soon as that happened, I think business just start flowing in.
So you just kind of took control. You decided that I'm not going to let the market and circumstances determine my 2020. I'm going to go make it happen.
Hmm.
So now, did that mean more phone calls? Were you doing extra work? What activities did you shift to try to increase your business?
The follow up, because I have very little time available, 5 hours a day for everything.
Yeah.
The number of contacts were down, but the quality of the contacts definitely went up, and the quality of the conversation went up. It's I think it's there's no other option. I have to make things happen, in this shorter amount of time, and I think just mainly it's the quality of the communication and quality of the contact.
Got it. Got it. Got it. So does that mean you were doing a lot? You said lead follow-up. Is that with also a lot of database calls, past clients, centers of influence? I mean, what sources were you working?
Uh, so leads from before the shutdown,
Uh-huh.
and I was still calling. Database would be the most cost. I think that would be the number one source still today. And just following what Mike was telling, start a conversation with, first of all, I want to make sure, is everyone in the family healthy and safe? Start a conversation with that, and then jump into the regular calls. database, I mean follow up, meaning could be more touches. I
Yeah.
do get Steve Thomas report. So if they're a lead, I would just every week I just send that to them, and then I'll call them every 10 day or so.
Yeah.
And then I was adding people that I talked to, coder leads who are that they're scared of COVID, and then put them into a different system, and then just to nurture.
Got it. Okay. Good. 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 So now you're going through the year. You're starting to say, as you said, more business coming along. At what point did you realize that, wow, this could be my biggest year ever?
I don't remember, but oh, another thing that was made a huge impact that I actually would really encourage everyone to do is I think it was around May. My Mike Ferry coach Ramona asked me to participate in a virtual role play group. So what we have is every day, one for an hour. Oh, there's like 10 people in a group. So you basically get to role play once every 2 weeks, right? There's 10 people at 5 days. And but when even if I wasn't role playing, I was there for an hour listening to people role play and then watching people role play and then observe the whole thing as a third party from a third party point of view.
Yeah.
You actually see a lot of things differently. There were so many times I would use this objection and when they give an objection, I would use this subject handler. But when I'm actually watching someone do it, I'm like, oh, that didn't quite answer their question. You don't know that when you're actually in the role play or in the presentation.
Sure.
So I got a lot from that, and then also just listening to the role play, the script, the presentation every single day
Yeah.
from different people. And my presentation skill, my conversion rate on listing appointment taken skyrocketed.
Mm.
And that contribute huge to the efficiency. So I didn't have to go on as many appointments to get a contact. So I was less stressed about getting the contact. I have my goal here. I don't need to, I may be complacent on that, but my goal is here. I don't need to go on 10 appointments a week. So, and I'm more relaxed when I prospect, and then the quality of the contact just, the quality of the conversation just went up.
Got it. Don't worry about talking about complacency, Jack. We'll edit that out when we get to that scene. Okay. We'll have Jesse edit out any complacency talk. So there you go. So, okay. So for going through this, you've got less hours in a day because you have Amelia. Okay. You got all these things going on. So you're having higher quality contacts and you're working on your presentation. So you have to go on less presentation. So it was really all about efficiency because you had less time. Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Okay. Now, and that ultimately led to being able to accomplish all your goals and exceed those in the time slot that you had.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Okay. Wow. That's great. I love it. I love it. So I wrote down here though, Jack, how, you have Amelia, who was 1 year old last year. How do you use that as a motivation as opposed to an excuse? And what I mean by that is, there's a lot of people that have kids. There's a lot of people that have 1 year olds, 5 year olds, things like that. But they don't have the same mentality that you do of, hey, I only have 5 hours. I got to make the most of this. They kind of go to this as an excuse of why I can't get the work done. How do you work your mindset to where it's a motivation and not an excuse?
Well, actually, I actually kind of used her as an excuse at one point and without myself knowing it. And it's 2019 was my worst year since coming into the business.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever we're going on events and people, how was your year? I don't lie. I don't like to lie, and I always tell the truth. So it's like, oh, it's one of my worst year. And then, oh, I had a baby. It was one of my worst year. And then someone pointed out to me that I was using her as an excuse. I'm like, oh my God, I was. So I did actually, without knowing, use her as an excuse. But then, and after I learned that, I started to change how I respond to that question. So whenever people ask me, how was your year? I was like, you know what? It's a learning year. And then that totally changed it. And from the motivation standpoint would be, yeah, you just want the best for her. So and from the a better environment, the bigger home, going to school. Uh, oh, one thing on what Nancy was talking about earlier, right? Before we started, one thing I would do, I learned from somewhere else that write down 20 reasons on why you want to accomplish on your goal, any goal. Write down 20 reasons why you want that goal, and then that actually help you dig really deep in terms of why you want it. It's pretty cool. Usually you get up to, that first 10, 12, it's really easier, and then it's really surface level, like, oh, because I'll be rich, kind of like that, right? And then afterwards you're like, oh, and then you get you dig out some crazy stuff like, oh, because I want to be, not because I want to be rich, because I want to be better, I want to be different, something like deeper stuff, something, but that really help when getting to a goal, it's a result, right? But that's not the motivation. So writing these out really helps. So I would multiple times, from time to time, I would just sit down and just write down the reasons.
Got it. Okay, great. Perfect. So as the year of 20, we're going to finish up 2020, then we'll move into kind of 2021. As 2020 moved on, you got into a really good rhythm. You had a lot of business. You ended up with your highest year ever in the business, which is amazing given COVID, elections, and everything that's going on there. And yet you're surrounded in an industry that was not doing that. So how did you fight complacency? How did you fight negativity coming from even the business when you have so many other agents that weren't involved, so many other agents complaining about everything going on? How did you fight that at the end of 2020 to finish the year so strong?
Having a clear goal, actually.
Okay.
I think this is end of the, I think it was fourth, no, maybe September or something. And then my career coach just said, you know what, I want you to get this many sales by end of the year. And I'm like, wow, that's a pretty big number. I really didn't think I can get there. I think I ended up, I think it was 14 sales from September to December or something like that. I forgot, something like
Right.
that. I wasn't sure if I can do it, but I had that goal in front of me every day. So I have a board. I have a September, I need 1, 2, 3, 4. October, I need 1, 2, 3. November, 1, 2. December, 1, 2. And then as soon as I put a sales in escrow, I'll just write the name down there. So I know where I am in relation to how many I need to get and how many more I need. So it's in my office. I see that every day. And yeah, just seeing that, just keep on reminding, and then I just kind of like, okay, I still got this to accomplish. I still got this to accomplish. And I think that's one of the main things, just to keep me moving forward.
Got it. I love it. Keeping that goal in front of you all the time. That's huge. Very good. Very good. All right. So then you finish the year, best year you've ever had, not only in just dollars, but units by a pretty decent amount. So you crushed 2020, you're rolling into 2021. So then I'm going to ask you pretty much the same question I just asked you on how'd you fight complacency at the end of the year. How do you fight complacency going into 2021 and not going, I just came off my biggest year ever. I got some money. You had just bought a new house, right?
Yeah. December. Yeah.
Yeah. So you just bought a new house. You're just coming off your biggest year ever. How do you not just take that sigh of relief and say, all right, let me take a little break to start the year?
When you just bought a house, the payment, right?
The mortgage payment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And actually, I was kind of complacent in April, and I noticed what happened is I did not have that goal in front of me. So coming fresh into the year, I just bought a house. I sit down with my financial planner to know how much I need to save. So these numbers were still fresh. So I was like, keep on moving, keep on going. And then somewhere along the line, I just forgot to look at those goals again, and then complacent kicks in, and then once I realized that, and I look at oh my god, I am gonna be behind. I mean, I'm on track to my goal, but I don't have much in the pipeline. So if I keep on being complacent, then I'm gonna start falling behind.
Sure.
And that's what happened to me in April, and then I started kicking things up again in May, and and then it is a 2-3 month cycle. So yeah,
So what did you do in May? What did you accomplish in May that you hadn't done?
prospect.
But to what account?
It's the most contact I made since 2020, January of 2020. And then it wasn't a lot. It wasn't a lot, before pre-COVID, but I did made the most contacts since COVID.
So April, you got complacent. You didn't have your goals in front of you, and you decided in May, all right, I'm not going to take this anymore. I'm going to make the most contacts I've made in a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty good way to snap out of complacency. And how many listings do you have active right now?
Right now I have 3 active,
Okay.
and 3 active.
And then how many in pending?
Most of
How
them
many deals
closed.
pending?
Yeah, but right now I have 1 in pending, and then I have another one's going in this week. So
Got it. Okay. So making all those contacts led to essentially 5 transactions.
pretty much at least 3 new listings.
That's pretty impressive. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Cool. Very cool. But I brought that up, and I had already known that answer, but I brought that up because I just think that's such a great thing to remind people of. Hey, we all get complacent. How do you get out of complacency? Do you just slowly get out of it, or do you say, damn it, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to go make the most contacts I've made in a year and a half. That's really impressive to do. So is there a special switch or a special thing that you do other than keeping the goals in front of you, where you just go from complacent to totally tenacious and making the most contacts?
Look at your bank statement more often. And credit card bills.
Okay. All right. Okay. There you go. There you go. So I wrote down here, keep your goals in front of you, look at your bank statement more often, and that should help you become a little more tenacious. That's
and hide the money. So I divided up my commission check. So I have the regular operating account. I whenever I get that, I take most of them out of that. Maybe I leave 40-50% in there.
yeah.
So that bank statement, that bank account, it's always kind of low, and then that gets drained pretty quick. And then don't put the other account in under the same bank, because you're gonna pull the list, you're gonna see the other funds. Put it in another bank where you have to have a different login. So the one that you look at the most, the balance is always low.
Okay. All right. I like that. I like that. All right. Well, that's a good conversation for the people on this call. Unfortunately, in real estate, Jack, that's not going to work because they're a lot getting bounce checks just on the one account they have. But that's a real estate problem. What are you going to do? All right. Good job. All right. Cool. How many contacts? So a question came in. How many contacts did you make in May?
I think it's about 20. I can look it up. I don't remember.
Yeah, I could pull up your analyzer.
Really quick. Give me 1 second. I mean, it was, and then I found last year it wasn't the number. It wasn't really the number of contact. And then I think Neil talked about it. Focus more on the hour prospected, or having good contacts instead of just chasing the number. If you have 25 contacts that are high quality, I think it's better off to do 25 than have 30 contact or 50 contact that are low quality. So that's also one thing I learned last year.
Yep, I agree. All right, good.
So I only had 477.
477. Right.
I think pre-COVID I was doing like probably 600.
Yeah. Well, there were days of the 50 contact days and the infamous 100 contact day, which we didn't see anybody for 3 days afterwards. Never do that ever again. Who came up with that idea? Jesus. Oh, good stuff. All right. So I got more stuff here, but let me open it up here. What questions do you all have for Jack? You can put it in the chat box or unmute yourself. What do you
I have
have?
a question.
Go
What's a
ahead.
quality contact?
I think so. Right now, haven't seen you for a while, Abigail. Yeah, I think instead of I'm really just focusing on the conversation, really listening, really trying to be helpful in the conversation, and then really listening for signs of buying signals, and then keep on just carry on the conversation instead of thinking too much. Oh, I gotta make an appointment. I gotta make an appointment. It's really about having that conversation, and then to me that would be a quality contact. Yeah.
Great. So, well, let's expand on that. So, I mean, do you have to get do you have to ask a certain number of questions? Do you have to get a certain place in the script? Do they have to be on the phone for a certain amount of time that you would deem to be a quality contact? Like, for example, the guy we had on the Mastermind last week, he said that they have to be on the phone for 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have like a certain criteria?
No, I actually judge that by how engaged I am. So actually, I'm working from home, and I feel like nowadays when I prospect, I get sweaty now. I never had that before, even when we were doing like 90, like 50 contacts a day. So I'm really engaged, and really just focused on I didn't track the time. And I mean, I have my script to leave a message for COI. I call a lot of COI database. That's a contact. But even the messages are, I'm really, it's like talking to them instead of just leaving a message. I would say, this is my voicemail call. So I would, oh, hey Robert, this is Jack, your realtor from Century 21. Excuse me. Yeah, as a part of my commitment to service, I keep all my friends and family and updated in terms of what's going on in the community. So giving a quick call, and we actually noticed 3 straight months where the inventory started to increase. And what's interesting is that we saw 3 straight months where the pending sale dropping. So that's telling us that the market is starting to shift a little bit. Yeah, if you want to find out more about that, just or how the market is going, or what a buyer or seller should do in this market, just give me a call back, and I can be reached at 909-610-5188. So I'm trying to leave the message as if I was talking to them in person.
Right.
I mean, the actual conversation in person would be longer. There's more things I would put in. I would ask more questions, but oh, do you know anyone? I'll put those in. But voicemail, I still try to really engage in that conversation.
Great. Good. All right. What else? What other questions do we have for Jack? Who's got something?
Well, I wanted to
All right,
say.
let's go Riva, then Jamila, and then Nancy.
Okay. So Jack, what I was getting from what you were saying is you give some content to that conversation so that they come with a takeaway, some little tidbit of knowledge, so that you're a benefit to them without even making that appointment. And it kind of gives them a taste that you really care. Is that right?
Yeah, and I think I'm not, my personality, I'm not the super aggressive type. So I really enjoy doing, I call that the content-based marketing. So all the, they have to find value in your interaction with them, whether it's an email, whether it's a conversation. And for us to even get a business or referral from them, we have to earn it. In a cold call situation, so that's why I'm always trying to provide more value whenever I can. So yeah. So sometimes if they're not, if not that they're not ready, they're not really a lead. I don't mind calling them back a couple of times. I do have a 2 different level of database. So where the database 1 is the true database, the past client, the COI, and I have a second database that's people I prospected. So by MFO standard, they're not the true database because they may not know me. But I still call them. I call them 3 times every quarter. I'll email them every week. And so I'm trying to just provide content, even they're, I still just give them, even if they're not ready to sell, I still give them this information. In my email, I don't just send, oh, I listed this property or I sold this property. I try to put some content that's relevant. They could find, well, at least I think they will find it useful.
Yeah. So you're
Did I
not just
answer the
you're not
question?
just yeah, you're not just giving information. You're not what I wrote down here is what you're saying is that you're not just saying basic vague stuff. Oh, it's a hot market. Oh, it's a great market. It's specifically pendings are down, listings are up. This is what's going on. Prices are here. You do, and I only know this because I work with you, is you do info sparks a lot as far as showing people the graphs and all these other different things. Like you're very specific to the clients that you're giving service to. It's not just some basic vague statements.
I'm analytical.
I'm aware. I am aware of that. I am aware of that, So yes, but I think that's part of answering that question is that you do a very good job. Even the videos, you do videos now that you send out to people and the videos are very specific. And I think that's why they appreciate the information stuff. So one of the questions came in, Jack, that script that you use for your database, is that something that you put together or did you get that from somewhere?
I'm sorry?
The script that you use for your database that you just role played, the voicemail you did, did you get that from somewhere or did you write that yourself?
I get that from InfoSpark. So I look at the.
No, but the actual script that you say.
I come up with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
So every beginning of the month, I'll look at the InfoSpark and I'll write down. I'll pick out a couple trend that I think it's worth noting. It's people will find informational, and I'll just write up a script based on that. And actually, I don't write it. I just start using it, and then it just kind of evolve. As the more I talk about it, the better it sounds. The first couple calls, or the first couple of days, these script, it sounds bad, and then as I get into day 5, I already used that script for 100 times, and then so I'm just keep on adjusting a little bit.
There you go. Good. Nancy, did you have a question, or Jamila, did you have a question?
I do. I'm just curious how you bring so much enthusiasm. I want to say like happiness. Does anybody know what I'm trying to say? Like that laugh factor, even though you stated that you're analytical, I thought you were an expressive a moment ago before you said that.
So how do you do that, Jack? How do you keep that enthusiasm going as an analytical?
I think there's a lot of it's actually what I guess it's also it comes to the quality of content. What are you trying to accomplish? I'm trying to bring as much energy to the call as I'm trying to bring as being as informational to this call to the receiver. I'm being really professional, and then I think those are the main thing I really focus on. So if I think to me, if I did that, I think that's a quality contact. So.
What I get from that is it's kind of like a diamond. You have some that are better than others. And if you know what you have is really good, you're more excited to share that. So naturally, the more you study the market, your MLS, for you, the info sparks, the more excited you can become for them because you have something exciting you want to share that will actually help them.
Yeah, and I used to dread calling database. Pre-COVID, always hammering on expire, just listed, just sold, and then as soon as I started really just study the market and then develop a script, I am actually pretty excited to share this information because these information, they, like Robert said, they're not vague, and then I think they are they are very beneficial to people that receive it, even if they may not have plan right now. They may know someone that can use these information. It may help them pre-plan what they may want to do. Like I had a client say, "Oh wow, that was just today." He's like, "Wow, you know what? Then I can start preparing for a market slowdown and then enter the market to purchase investment property." So I think to me, I really got excited because I know these information will help the ones that want to hear from me. And then I guess the other key thing is I always get permission to even though they are not in my the so-called secondary database, I always get permission to email or to call back. And then if they don't, if the next time I call back they sound really hostile or they don't want to hear me, I may just delete them. So everyone in the database 1 or database 2 are someone that they would like to hear from me.
Typically what Jack does is if they get hostile, he tends to refer them to another agent, but that's a different story. All right, Nancy, what would you have?
Okay, I wanted to say that Jack has a great mindset and personality. And though his primary is analytical, he always seems very amiable to me and very helpful, and clients and coworkers and business associates really like that, I think.
Oh, thank you.
It's not like a boring analytical. You're very friendly and helpful. And my question is, and I partly know the answer to this, is what other things do you do to keep your mindset so positive and strong always?
I actually also subscribe to Adapt from Mike. So I think that's one of the best value the whole MyFairy has to offer. It's $75 a month, and then you get 20 to 30 minutes call. And so I really love the Tony Smith portion of the Adapt where he's talking about mindset. So I started the day watching that, and then so that just get me in a good mindset to start. And then it's just a lot of reminder when you're listening to this every day. A lot of time your mindset's not in the right place. You catch yourself.
Very good. Good question. All right, cool. Jack, what do you think your superpower is?
I am coachable.
I will agree. Well, yes, I can attest to that. You are very coachable. Okay, good.
Even if I don't believe it, I will still give it a try. And then Neil knows this. I'll show resistance. But I may not jump on it. The next day, I'll do it.
Yeah. No, you are certainly very coachable. There's no doubt about that. Okay, good. And then a question came in. What's your daily goal for prospecting? What's your daily goal for prospecting, and how many people do you have in each database?
So it's prospecting. Basically now I just basically focus on the hour. So if I'm prospecting between, right now it's 2.5 hours. So if I get 20, I'm okay. But I just, as long as I prospect that 2.5 hour focus and with energy. I have, so what I do with the calls so I have about 500 people in my database, the database number 1. What I do is, so I call them every 2 months. That's what Neil wants us to do. And so, I'll calculate, based on that, I have to make, I think it was 13 contacts out of those every day. And then my database 2, I have a couple hundred in there, and I'm calling them once every 3 months. So based on that, I'll calculate, okay, I need to call 9.
When I get off, I'll give you Wi-Fi.
Whoa.
Yeah, so that's 22 of my contact. And then right now I'm not chasing expire, so right now I just fill the rest with just, if I have time, more time left, I'll just call more just list and just sold. And then I'll be adding people from these calls to the database number 2.
Got it. So Jack, as we kind of wrap up here, I wrote down here, give 1 or 2 things that you would share to people as the world is opening up. Okay. You're on track. We talked about how great your 2020 was, despite COVID, despite elections, despite a 1-year-old daughter, despite buying a house, despite all that, you had a record year, and yet you're on track this year to exceed that. What's one or two things you could leave people with to say, hey, these are the one or two golden nuggets to really make sure that the last 6.5 months of 2021 are going to be your best?
Work on your presentation.
Work on your presentation.
I didn't see, Mike talks about it, right? Which one's more important. I never really see, it made sense when he was talking about it. I didn't really understand it until this and last year. When you have a strong presentation, it's easier to get a listing sign. And it's easier to get a listing sign, you don't need to have that many appointments. When you don't need to have that many appointments, this is based on your goal, of course. How many contract listing you want, and then you can you don't have to chase contacts. And then you're confident, you're excited about going, setting these appointments because that, I'm taking 6 to 7 out of 10. Then, if I set an appointment, it's almost like a done deal. You're excited going onto the appointment. It just goes into a really, really positive cycle.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Work on your presentation. Well, I got to tell you, buddy, I got a bunch of things down here, and I know you're going to keep crushing 2021. And I could tell you, I don't mind saying this, that one of the highlights of my week every week is, our call that we have every Friday, because I just, as Nancy said, you're always such a joy to talk to. So I greatly appreciate that as much as anything else. So very, very cool. And I'll say this, you mentioned the personality styles, how you seem so expressive and times. Do you still do that group where you have to write out the objection handler based on every personality style?
No, we kind of stopped doing that. So, but I'm still doing the presentation. I still have a group that we're doing virtual presentation over Zoom, and then it's like a presentation mastermind kind of thing.
Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. All right. Well, 102, everybody unmute yourselves. Give this man the round of applause that he deserves. Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, this was, thank you.
Great job, Jack.
Yeah, you should thank me, Jack, for having you. Okay.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Jack.
you should thank me for having you. That's right. This was all for your benefit and none of mine or anybody else's.
Yep, we talked about it.
Yeah, that's what Jack tells me yesterday. He goes, "No, this is really great. It allows me to get out. So thank you." And I went, "Oh yeah, Jack, I was doing this all for you the whole time. This had nothing to do with I wanted to hear about your story and what's working. So that's it. That was my whole goal. A lot of good stuff there. All right, so. All right, what did we get out of that? What are some key pointers you got from Jack in that last 45 minutes?
No excuses.
No excuses. No excuses. That's true.
Realizing what he was using as an excuse. Poor little Emma.
Armin, that's such a great point, and that's kind of why I asked him that. It's a real thing. We have kids, we have all these other distractions, and Amelia is 1 year old in the start of COVID, and it's like
Amelia. I'm sorry, Jack. I meant Amelia.
Yeah.
Okay.
How does he turn that to motivation? Very, very cool. All right, what else did we get? What else did we get from Jack? I saw here, positive focus brings positive results. That was from Lauren in the chat box. That's true. It's true.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, for me, to keep the goal in mind to keep me active. Like if you keep that at the forefront, what's the goals, then it keeps you going.
There you go. Keep your goals in front of you at all times. I love it. Nancy?
And I think Jack said to write down 20 reasons for each goal you want to accomplish so you can dig deeper as to why you want to achieve that goal.
Boy, I tell you, that was a good one, wasn't it? That was a good one. You
Yeah.
know, why do you want that? Why do you want that? Because it's not just about the money. It's what are you going to exchange the money for? You know, the Greg Harrelson line. If you don't know what you're going to exchange the money for, you're not going to do the work because prospecting sucks. Okay. So
Bob,
you have to know what you're going to exchange the money for. Yes, Michael.
I think the other thing you learn is buy a house, have a baby.
You know,
Oh, that's funny.
I got to tell you, Michael, it's to your point. When I was
That's the truth.
yeah,
Buy a house and you're like,
yeah, no, I agree.
Oh.
I agree. When I was 20, my our sales manager had a meeting, my first like real sales job, and he tells us, he says, if you need some motivation, go buy a new car. Go max out your credit card. Go, do this, things along those lines. And he said, I'll bet you'll be motivated to pay it off. He said, go pay for a vacation now. Max out the credit card on a vacation, and you got to pay it off by the time you go on this vacation. Now, I would not recommend some of you do that. Okay, because then you're going to get in debt and you're going to freak out, and that's not going to go well for some of you. Okay, but yes, to Michael's point, buy a house, have a baby, and boy, that'll motivate you. No doubt about it. No doubt.
You know how he mentioned complacency a bunch of times,
Yep.
Robert?
Yep.
Well, for me, I can relate to what he said, that he has to move the money out of his account in order to feel like he has nothing, in order to keep going. Sometimes when I see a little bit of money, it's not enough. Like I'll be like, okay, that's enough for another month. No, you got to take that money out of there so you can think that you have nothing and start at zero every day.
Well, absolutely. Absolutely. I thought that was a really interesting point. Put the money in a different bank account so you don't just see the total. You just have that one bank that has that really low amount. I thought that was a really neat point there. Yeah, there's a variety of different things you could do. Go drive around Malibu, or if you don't live in LA, go drive around somewhere where you see these multi-million-dollar homes. That would be nice. Go out to a really nice dinner that costs $400 or $500. That'll motivate you to go make a few more bucks. It's little things that we can do to motivate ourselves to do those kind of things, or buy a house and have a kid. Still, we could go back to that again if we want to, whatever the case may be. All right, good. What else? What else did we get out of here?
Provide more value and be engaged in the conversations.
Yeah, that's a great point. Be engaged in the conversations. I tell you, to Jack's point, I think when you just use vague statements, you really are not you're not separating yourself from the rest of the competition. I mean, how many homeowners in your marketplace have heard it's a hot market? Hear it all the time. Oh, it's a hot market. What a great market. A seller's market. Yeah, they hear that all the time. That you're not providing really any value by telling them that. So I think to his point of providing some more specific value, showing them graphs and things along those lines. Very, very cool stuff. All right, good. Anything else we got? Yes.
Hey, Robert.
Yes, Michael.
Robert, just knowing Jack, because I work in the same office, and the way he talked to the clients and all the content that he gave, I got a feeling that I don't think he will do all this without having that information first in the morning. I think if he doesn't have all the updated information to give, I don't think he will feel motivated, because every time he talks, he knows everything. He given great advice. He knows all the numbers. So in other words, I'm sure in order for him to be successful, he really, study everything before he make the calls. Yep. If he doesn't have that information, I'm sure he doesn't have a good morning, because he likes to give information.
Yep. Jack, do you do like a little bit of research every morning just to know what's going on?
Actually, not every morning, but I do check it at least once a week. But yeah, if I'm analytical, going back to that. So if I can't justify what I say, I wouldn't sound confident. So really having that number knowing those information really just made the quality of my call better.
It's great. I think it's a great point Michael brings up, and we talked about this. I wrote this down here that, we've heard Neil, we hear Mike, we hear everyone say this one thing: knowledge equals confidence. And when you know what's going on in the marketplace, and you know what's selling, you know what prices, you can confidently go talk to people. And Jack talked about that. That's why, he can be so enthusiastic and providing great value. So the next time that Neil at 9 a.m. says, do a quick little CMA of your marketplace, I want somebody other than Josie and Armin putting something in the chat box. Because I always know what's going on in Covina and Fountain Valley. I don't know what's going on anywhere else. But what are you going to do? All right. Anything else before we let Jack go on with the rest of his day? No. Well, Jack, again, I greatly appreciate this. I wrote down, it's funny. We talk every week. And so I know a lot of this stuff, and yet here I am still writing notes, because you just have so much to give and so much great information that, there's always stuff to learn. So I greatly appreciate you taking time out of your day to be here, on Tuesday to do these kind of things and share your information. You're certainly an open book, and I greatly appreciate that. So
thank you.
Really, really good stuff. All right. Well, there you go, Mr. Jack Ma. No excuses. No excuses.